What's going on, everybody? Rob Ferretti. Before we get to today's video, you got 2 days left for the drawing, so if you want to win a chance to come on the Adventure Drive trip, Charleston to DC, driving tail of the Dragon, back of the Dragon, staying at the Greenbrier in West Virginia, which is a really awesome experience, and get a rental car of your choice for whatever is left from here at Gotham Dream Cars, included flight, hotel, everything but the gas. We're only at like 160 posters sold. So if you want to jump in on that, go follow the link in the description, superspeeders.com. The maximum there will be is 500. It doesn't look like it's going to hit that, but you're going to have a 1 in something between maybe 1 in 250 shot of coming on the trip. Superspeeders.com, link below, and I'll see one of you guys out there. All right, so let's talk about another Turo rental. Now, I don't get any joy. Don't think I'm here to try to tell people that Turo is a bad company or you shouldn't use Turo. I use Turo, but I also report on issues or even positive experiences I have with Turo. Now, Turo's best, let's just call it feature, the most enticing thing about them is they're not a rental company. And it's also their biggest problem, right? Because we were out west. Some of my customers rented cars to go on the Adventure Drive's Rockies trip. And you remember I posted that the Corvettes both had bad tires in the front and they were vibrating and it wasn't fun to drive. And then the owners of the cars refused, even if you were willing to take the risk and like, look, I'm going to get new tires. We'll bring you the old tires back. I get no problem doing that. I just want to make the car safe. You're not allowed to modify the car, blah, blah, blah. So it's a huge problem, right? Like they don't want you to touch their car. They want you to drive their car and they want you to bring it back, but they don't want the car to be in the condition it should be to perform the way it's supposed to perform. And the biggest telling thing was the C8 Corvettes that were rented. Both guys had like crazy vibration in the steering wheel, especially over like 90 miles an hour. And the response from the host isn't like, oh, sorry about that, wheel's out of balance or something like that. It's, you shouldn't be going 90 miles an hour. And like that is not an appropriate response for a safety issue, is that you shouldn't be going fast. Because restricting people, and look, I've got cars here, I rent out exotic and sports cars all the time. It is not my job. I put in my rental contract the same way Turo does, that you are to obey the speed limits. That is not my concern. If you don't obey the speed limits, that is your use of the vehicle, and that's between you and the cops. Now, the reason everybody puts you're not supposed to speed or you're not allowed to speed in your contract is for the insurance aspect of it. Now, the insurance aspect of it, if you are speeding, and especially I don't sell collision damage waivers, we're not permitted to, the insurance is looking for a reason to deny you. That is the fundamental problem with the insurance companies, is that they're looking for an excuse to be like, oh, I'm not responsible for that. And that's why Turo has in its notes there, because they're selling you the insurance or including the insurance by saying like, you're not allowed to speed. If you do something and you're speeding, they're going to be like, oh, sorry, insurance is void. Got to go through your other policy or something like that. We're not insuring you to drive 130 miles an hour. That is something that is a risk that your traditional insurance company is going to take, and they don't want to do that. They're selling you an insurance policy, and they look for any way, like, well, actually, you let the valet drive it, and I don't know if they have anything about valets, but they look for reasons not to cover stuff, and that's just the way when you're writing a collision damage waiver, everybody does it. That's why I don't offer them. The company that bought us, Beverly Hills Rental Car, back in the day, they sold collision damage waivers to people, but they were complete nonsense. Anyone in the exotic car rental industry that includes a collision damage waiver or sells you a collision damage waiver, even if it's for a couple $100, if you read the fine print, nothing's covered. They always have a clause in there that says like, if you're negligent or negligent operation or something like that, there's no coverage. And then all they're going to do is like, well, you hit somebody that was negligent. Now, what are you going to do? You're going to fight it? They're just going to say you were negligent, you hit somebody. If you weren't negligent, you wouldn't hit anybody. So there's really no intention for them to ever cover anything, and it always goes legal from there. And what's a lawyer going to say? Yes, Your Honor, yes, my client was doing 30 miles an hour over the speed limit, and that was probably one of the reasons that he crashed, but that's not negligent. Who's going to draw the line? And even when Turo's policies, they say no excessive speeding. They don't define excessive speeding. It's not a percentage of the speed limit. It's not you can't anything 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, because that just opens up a defined argument. And then like, well, we can't argue that. If they leave the gray area, then there's room for them to argue and deny when they want to deny stuff. So fast forward, we're on the Adventure Drive trip, and the BMW that was rented by one of the people on the trip had an issue. And the issue was, it came and the front end was all chopped up. There's rock chips all over the thing. And the guy's like, hey, I get it. It looks pretty beat up. Marked all that stuff. And then the windshield had two like non-repairable, like big rock chips in it. So Ariana, who's the girl who rented the car, was like, hey, I just want to let you know there's rock chips. Yep, I acknowledge there's two big rock chips in the windshield. Fast forward, bring the car back a week later, whatever it was. No further damage except a crack in the windshield. And then the guy comes and he's like, whoa, crack in the windshield. Hey, by the way, I looked at my GPS and you were speeding in the car. I see there was a one time when you went 140 miles an hour. You're speeding. That's in a violation of the terms of the agreement. I'm going to need to get the car inspected. And she's like, all right, well, there's no check engine lights. The car drives perfectly fine. I don't even know if I was the one speeding. She had 3 drivers on her contract or on her agreement. And she's like, I don't know who was driving the car at the time. And that's very possible. If your GPS is right, who knows? I don't know if it's right or not. I don't know what you're using. So here he's accusing her of speeding, and therefore the car has to go get inspected. He gets the car inspected. Sure enough, nothing's wrong with it. The mechanic looks at it and is like, there's nothing wrong. There's no excessive oil wear. There's nothing that you could possibly bill. Like, I can't charge somebody more for going faster in my Porsche. If you're on the road driving a car, you could jump the Grand Canyon. I don't care. That's not my position, is to say like, you're not allowed to go fast in my car. The problem with Turo is these are individuals that own the cars. They have more of an emotional attachment, whatever the rationale is. They don't care about the maintenance. These are all the shortcomings that Turo has. And I've made other videos about Turo, and I got assigned my own Turo person. I don't want to be, because I'm complaining or anything like that. I'm just sharing my experiences. But like a corporate level contact, like if you have any other problems, just reach out to me. I got no problem dealing with it. So I tried that. I'm like, hey, we've got this reservation here. It was a driver listed on it, and they're coming at us now for a windshield replacement. And the guy, and then the response was like, well, I can't talk to you. You got to go through the person who booked it. And I'm like, really? I'm on the thing. It's beside the fact. So anyway, I highlighted the fact that the guy is now charging us for a windshield that was already damaged. And there's no mark on the windshield, right? There's a crack on it, absolutely. That wasn't there when we got it. But there's no like impact mark that led to that crack. So I'm like, I don't know, that maybe the crack was started, we didn't see it, and then it spread. But my concern isn't about paying for the windshield. I'll pay and replace the guy's windshield as long as he didn't charge other people for the windshield, because it's actually illegal to charge multiple people for the same thing, right? If somebody breaks my headlight and then somebody further breaks my headlight, I've already charged somebody for the replacement headlight. I can't charge 2 people for the same thing. And my concern was like, look, I think this guy's just bent out of shape because we went fast and he couldn't charge us for anything. But at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with that. And he's now charging us $1,100 for a windshield, which you look it up, and even the OEM BMW windshield, if he does do that glass, was only like $350 online, which is like not wholesale pricing or anything like that. So that's a $450, $500 replacement windshield with the BMW OEM parts, and he charges $1,100. And I think he's just doing that to be like, I want to get these guys for something. So I brought it up to Turo, and I'm like, look, there's no reason we should be paying more than the windshield is worth, but I'd also like to verify that he hasn't charged any other customers for this windshield, because you can't charge 3 people for the same windshield. You can't give somebody a damaged windshield and then charge somebody else and then charge somebody else and charge somebody else. If he charged them for repairs on the windshield, for like, I charge you $100 to repair it and he didn't repair it, that's on him. He can do whatever he wants. But I don't want to be responsible for a windshield that has already been paid for twice over. That's more of a scam than anything. So I told this to the Turo rep. They said, okay, well, we'll pass it along, but it's the person who rented the car, so Ariana's got to be the one to deal with it. And then she gets an email, hi, I'm a Turo rep, blah, 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 blah. So it appears that you were speeding in the car. I just want to let you know, here's our policy on speeding. You just should be aware of that, just in case you weren't aware of it already. And I'm like, I came up with a valid concern that we're being charged for something that somebody else may have already paid for, and I don't even know if it's really our responsibility. If you give me a car that's already has a part that's damaged beyond repair, it shouldn't be on me to then replace it. Objectively, if somebody rents a car from mine and there's no evidence of anything and they come back with a cracked windshield, I will charge them for it, but not if I charge somebody else. So she still hasn't gotten a resolution here as to if this guy has billed other people for the windshield or not. And the Turo representative that sent the other Turo representative said, yeah, just appeal through the claims process. And I'm like, well, what's the point in having a representative to resolve problems if you're not going to resolve the problem, or at least identify if something is legitimate or not? So another downside to Turo, I'll let you know how all this works out. But at the end of the day, I am bound by laws. Rental companies are bound by laws. I don't know if this guy who owns the car, if he just says like, I want $4,000 for my windshield, is it allowed to do that or not? I don't know what Turo's policy is on charging or establishing or proving that you've paid for a repair. And I don't think I should be bound, or she should be bound, for paying for a repair that's in excess of what the repair should cost. I should be able to go out and get 2 other estimates and be like, this is what the repair costs. Why am I giving this person $1,100 for something that's easily fixable by any, and I'm not talking about like I know a guy, any retail estimate is going to be $500 for that. Why am I paying $1,100? It's pretty nonsense. So if you rent a Turo car, be careful if you're speeding. I mean, again, I rent out Ferraris and Lamborghinis. If people drive fast, I've got no problem with that as long as they're responsible for any damage. And if they crash it, it's on them. It's not on me. If they get a ticket or do whatever they want to do in it, I can't say like, wow, you went really fast, I'm going to charge you extra money. If they do driving that is prohibited, like off-road driving, if they take it on a racetrack, that stuff is excess wear and tear. But if you're on the street, fair game. Rob Ferretti, thank you for watching. I'll let you know how this plays out.